wouldn't push him out the door just yet because if he has a monster year, Jim Crane's willing to write checks, and you do have Verlander and Greinke coming off the books. But if the Astros do have that philosophy that they're not going to give 10-year contracts, I'm okay with it because very rarely do 10-year contracts work out for teams. Usually you're accepting when you give out these 10-year deals that the final few years are going to be rough. I think the only one that I can name off the top of my head that really, really paid off was A-Rod's first one. And I think the Yankees actually ended up doing it. The 10 years, 256, whatever it was with Texas. I'm okay with that philosophy. And with Carlos Correa, my concern, if I am given a 10-year contract, regardless of philosophy, is the guy is missing over 40 games a year. And as you get older, it seems like because of what Father Time is and because of what the body is, you miss even more games and you'll be even more reliant on him. That's not to say that someone's not going to give him that contract because we know how baseball deals do work. But if you are the Astros and you're trying to have an organizational philosophy, I have no problem as long as you're still making smart moves of making the tough decisions like letting a guy like Carlos Correa walk.
It just kind of stinks, though, because he's 26 years old. He's a year younger than Lindor. Lindor got the 10-year deal. And I remember a conversation I had with an old baseball writer a long time ago with these long-term contracts. And I've always remembered this. He says, when a guy signs a 10-year contract, if you go into it thinking that the last 2 or 3 years is just kind of a bonus for everything you did the first 7 or 8, then you're good with it. And by that, let me just explain it. If you sign Correa to a 10-year contract, let's say the Angels, just as an example, sign him to a 10-year contract, and they win 2 or 3 championships the first 7 years, well, then you're happy to pay the last 2 or 3 years. It's like a lifetime achievement award. Bagwell got that deal here. Bagwell, his last 2 years, he couldn't even throw a ball. But he was still getting paid because they knew what he had done for them the first few. So I get your point. Father Time catches up to you. We don't know if it will with Correa, but even if it does, if you get what you pay for the first 6, 7, 8, a lot of teams say it's worth it.
Let's just look at the last 5 years of Carlos Correa. The last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you sign Carlos Correa to this contract, and you got the next 5 years what you've got in the first 5 years, do you consider that to be a good deal? Now, keep in mind, you're talking about missing 50 games a year over that stretch, 45, I believe, even if you count the shortened season last year. Lindor, I think, misses 4 games a season, so it's nearly a quarter of the season. If you get that, would you be satisfied with paying him that? Or are you paying for what you hope and the potential that we've hoped would develop? Because to me, if you're paying a guy whatever, I don't know what Los wants. I'm assuming he said Lindor set the market.
300, yeah.
All right, $30 million a year, whatever, 10 years. If you're paying a guy $30 million a year, because I'll say this, the one thing I do feel bad for when it comes to guys like Carlos Correa is baseball is jacked up to where if you get these guys and they immediately contribute at a young age like Correa did, you're stealing. Because he's making $450,000 or whatever it is to be one of the best shortstops in baseball. So I can see that side of things. That's a damn shame when it comes to baseball. But if you're paying Carlos Correa $30 million a year and he's missing 45 games a year and you're getting that, do you think that justifies the contract?
The short answer is no, because you're missing so many games. But I think the real answer is, did you win a championship? And what was he like in the postseason? Because he's raked in the postseason. He's helped this team win in the postseason. So it's kind of complex. But you're in essence, it's what you said. You're paying for the healthy 120, 140 game Correa or more. But I just think he's so good, man. I mean, he is so good, and he's still 26.
Oh, he's sick with it. And you just wonder, is the best yet to come? Because typically 26 is not necessarily the best of what you get.
They really hit their prime 28 to 32.
We'll see what happens with it, but it is something to keep an eye on.